Today we are going to the Seymour police station and we're gonna get a tour.
Alright guys, come on in. This is obviously our lobby, so if you come into the police department, this is the first place you're going to see. We have a records clerk right here behind the window. We've got some cool awards and some in memory of memorial stuff on the wall back there. I'll show you our fingerprint room first. So this here is just a conference room. If we have somebody come in that's got a real personal issue that they need to talk about, we would discuss that here behind kind of a closed door before going further back. That's a more secure area. So anybody off the street, we can kind of handle in here with the issues they have. And then our fingerprint setup is right here. We're one of the last few that still do hard card fingerprinting. So just with the old ink pad and the fingerprints. So if you need to do that, we have that in here. You can put your fingerprints on there. It used to be a really popular thing with kids to have their fingerprints taken and their parents would have them on file.
Yeah.
So that might be something kind of interesting. So we'll go from here across the road. And this part's going to be a restricted access area. So we're kind of going back where the police normally live. We're back in this part here, and this would be the public setting out here. So here we have our records department, and you'd interact with them at the window normally. They handle any sort of records requests that you might have. These are our administrative offices. So this is the secretary for the chief. She's typically right here. The chief's office, with the Batman logo on the door. They're having a conference in here, so we're going to kind of keep it down. I'm not really sure what that's about, but that's typically what goes on in that room there. The assistant chief is located here with the robin symbol. And then our HR clerk is way back here in the corner. So she handles all of the pay and the billing and all that kind of stuff for the department, and we deal with a lot of different budgets and money and stuff like that, and she does a great job with that. We're going to pop out here. And this is the squad room of Seymour PD. So right now it's empty, but this is typically where the police officers get all their work done. So all these computers, we use them to type cases and input any sort of information that we have from cases throughout the day. These are administrative offices as well. So Captain Munson, this is his office. He's in charge of the patrol officers. Captain Watson, he's in charge of the buildings, the grounds. Lieutenant White is also in charge of the officers. We'll head back this way. Here you can see the magic yellow line. We have to do what we call the standardized field sobriety test indoors. If maybe it's raining outside or we need to verify and do a second one, we can do that indoors here. So we have people kind of walk the balance beam here to try to determine if they're intoxicated or not. This room here is the new dispatch coordinator room, so we got to change his nameplate. He's not here today. This is our intoxilizer.
And what is that?
That is what they call the breath test. So if you have alcohol, this is the official machine that tells how much alcohol is in your bloodstream by blowing into the tube. So you might have seen that on TV. We got a small version we keep in the cars, and then we got this great big calibrated version. The reason that this is in here is that this one will stand up in court. Oh. So it is very precise and it's very well measured, and the results from that we would take to court.
Okay.
In this room, a little bit different. This would be like if we had a victim of an incident. So if somebody came in and something happened to them, we would bring them back here to kind of give them a little bit more of a safe space, a place where they feel comfortable to talk to us.
Okay.
That's why the couch and everything is back here.
Yes.
This is the sergeant's office, so the sergeant that's on shift. Right now he's out on the road, but he'll be in and out of this office here doing his paperwork and making sure his squad is running like they're supposed to. This is our break room here.
We have a full kitchen.
Yeah, most of the amenities you might need because we do work 12-hour shifts, so all 24 hours a day there's somebody here. So any food that we bring in, or if we want to make food on station for a shift or something, that's where all that happens.
That's great.
All right. So behind this door is the dispatch area.
Ready?
Come on in. This is the dispatch break room. It is completely separate. So in the event of like a crisis situation, they may close this door because they need a quiet space to concentrate and focus on what they're doing. So they have everything they need back here. They have a break room there. They have their own bathroom here. This is our IT coordinator. So he does all the electronics, hooking stuff up, making sure that the computers are working like they need to, and that everything's talking like it's supposed to. We have a big server room in here. You can kind of hear it humming away. I think they have this locked for security reasons, but that's where all of our servers are, so we keep them here in-house. We've got a lot of chatter going on in here. So before we go in, I'll just kind of tell you, this is our dispatch room, and you'll see all the computers all the way around, and they'll be in here talking to police officers, talking to firefighters, typing in different things that are happening out here on the street. So we'll just kind of go in here and get overwhelmed with all the technology they're dealing with. Dispatch area, you can see we have different consoles, and they're ready to go. I think you have a few calls out now currently, right? So officers are out there doing some things, and they're just kind of chatting with them, making sure that everything's going like it's supposed to. So this map here shows where all the officers are around town right now. They're all GPS located. They monitor security systems, so security cameras outside, and they also have to deal with all the radio traffic coming in. So if we have anything we need, we always call dispatch. They're kind of our Google that's right here in the middle of the building. All right, so this here is what we call our Sally port. It's essentially a garage. You'll see some different things that have been repurposed or reutilized. So this is kind of a catch-all for anything we have. If it's like evidence, if we impound a car, we would bring it in here. If we have different, maybe some evidence items that just don't fit in the lockers, I'll show you upstairs here in a moment. They would go back here. All of our shipping, receiving, all that kind of stuff comes in through these bays, obviously. Now, the original purpose was to design this to be able to hold people if we need to in a temporary cell. And I suppose if we needed to, like in an event of a crisis, we could still use this for that. However, it's just not safe for us to keep people here. Obviously, this is a very primitive kind of jail system. If you see the jail now, it's nothing like this. So we don't use this for that at all anymore. So this is just kind of used for storage, but we do have it built into the design of the building in case we need to use it. Back here, this is used more than almost anything here. This is our big shredder. So we get a lot of personal information from people, driver's license numbers, criminal records, things like that. And those all have to be shredded. So that's used quite a bit. These over here are sharps containers with needles in them. And we collect a lot of those off the street. So people might use them for illegal reasons, or maybe even just legal reasons, and they throw them out the window, or they find, people find them in different places. We always advise people not to touch them, just call us. We put them in little sharps containers, bring them here, and eventually they are incinerated and destroyed. This opposite side here is going to be another Sally port exactly like this. It mirrors this Sally port. This is going to be locked, and I don't have access to this.
Okay.
So I'll show you here. My key card is in here, and it won't unlock this, and there's a reason for that. So your average police officer can't get into this room. It's what we call a restricted access Sally port. Now the reason we would do that is if we impounded a car that they were still investigating, they would put it over there, and they might be just tearing panels out of it and looking through all kinds of stuff. So you don't want people in and out of there that aren't directly supposed to be involved with that investigation, if that makes sense.
That does.
So even officers can't get into this side, but it's exactly the same as what we have over here. It's just kind of mirrored on that side.
This is a great room.
It is kind of a catch-all. It's like everybody's garage, you know, it's just a catch-all for everything. This is the back entrance, so we can take a peek outside really quickly. This is how officers typically get into this building. We don't come through the front lobby. So obviously right now, all the officers are off station doing things, as you saw on the map in there. We keep our pool cars here, so some of these police cars are saved just for spares in case something happens on shift. Our admin parks back here, our dispatchers park back here, most of the employees park back here. And then if we do have people that are officers on station, they will park over here. All right, we're gonna look at my brand new 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe police vehicle. Fair warning, this is not like inspection ready or anything, so you're going to see what an actual police car looks like most of the time. So let's get started. Okay, so we look in there. I could point out most of the stuff. My main goal is to have the driver's seat set up almost like you would an airplane or something. So I have everything within reach that I might need, and as you can imagine, as a police officer, we deal with a lot of stuff. The vehicle itself is outfitted with different things. You see that metal console there. I'll kind of point out what that's for here in a moment. Rubber floor mats. There really are there's no carpeting or anything in here because we're dealing with, you know, muddy situations or people who might be injured or sick or anything. So the vehicle is very resilient, easy to be washed out and things like that. So we'll start up here on the top. This is my radar unit, which is a little bit different than maybe your mom's Tahoe. This box here, when I activate it, it basically tells me my speed and the speed of whatever vehicle is near me. So that's, if your parents get in trouble for speeding, that's the box that does it there. So I got a radar head right up here, and there's also one in the back, so we have front and rear moving radar. Over here, you can see this whole array of radios. So basically first, this is my in-car radio, so it's magnet mounted here. I also carry one on me all the time. So I typically use this one, but if something happened and this went down, I also have radio communication in here. And that box is right here, right next to me. You'll be able to see it in just a moment. This big box here in the center, next to my phone cord here, is for all the lights and sirens. So you'll see the switches on here and all the different buttons. That basically is just lights and sirens and all the different arrays we can make. I also have a built-in printer here for tickets or anything like that I needed to print out. That is hooked to my computer. When this is on, it has the same GPS you saw inside, so I can tell where other cars are, and it also shows me in a readout form what calls we have. So it's an easy way to monitor that kind of stuff. We can also check license plates and driver's license and stuff on here as well. We have our spotlight, which is what a lot of people know police cars for. We can kind of aim this like we need to, turn it on and off. Comes in handy for stops at night, or if you're looking for somebody in an open area. These are just kind of personal things, but obviously hand sanitizer is used quite a bit. We have spare magazines in here for weapons. These are my gloves for police work, so if I'm ever going to get into contact with somebody and I know about it, I usually put these on ahead of time. All that stuff's just there for easy access, so I have immediate access to that kind of stuff. We'll move next to the back seat. So as you can see, same sort of idea, utility over beauty here. So in the back here, I've got a car seat because I've got a young son that I take to school every morning, so he rides with me in here. But we also have to transport juveniles sometimes, even younger juveniles, so I like to keep this in the vehicle even if I'm not using it, just so we have one here on station that can be used if need be. We also have the door pockets here, spare flashlights, all kinds of different, note-keeping information and stuff like that I might need. We have our law book, so this has most of the laws here in Indiana code here in the doorway if I need to reference that. So again, everything pretty easy to come by. You see the bright vest in there. Anytime we stop in traffic, we're going to be using that. We have our gun rack in the center there with a shotgun and a rifle for different purposes we might encounter out there. And on the floor there, I've got Darren that I take in the classrooms with me as a DARE officer, so you can see him riding back there. He's usually up in the seat when my son was with me this morning. The orange handle you see down there is for opening car doors. So that is just basically a big long rod that I would stick in a door. to help open a locked door if somebody was locked out of their car. In the back here,
Oh wow.
we have, this is their stuff here. So this is usually not here, but this is stuff I take in the classroom with me to give out to the kids. We have a fire extinguisher up here. I've got camera equipment in that far bag up there that you might be able to see as you come by. And in here, this is just loaded with different stuff we might have to use. So I've got another bulletproof vest here. I've got an outer vest in case I'm in plain clothes and something happens. I can put that on. This is a rifle-proof vest, so it's kind of an assault-looking vest. I've got spare masks in here. We have roadway damage tags, a spare gas can, blankets, the ever-important sanitation equipment here, wipes, sanitizer. I've got training ammunition here for when I go to the range. I've got ear protection. I've got cool little stuff like this, so if I have somebody who maybe they're a child and they're not feeling too good or something bad happened to them, I can kind of comfort them and have something for them, you know, to kind of hang on to, kind of get them through that. We also come across like some homeless people or people that might be just kind of going across the country, so I've got kind of little humanitarian meals or like MREs in here. So I've always got food that either I can eat or I can give out to somebody else. We got a whole bunch of documents in here. We do a lot of VIN checks and BMV stuff, so all that stuff for me is kept in this backpack so I know where it is. We have trauma kits with basically everything that a U.S. soldier would carry is in here. So I've got tourniquets in there, I have clotting agents, I've got all kinds of different bandages and stuff because we're oftentimes the first one on scene. Even though the ambulance is coming, this kit contains stuff that might be able to stop blood flow and maybe keep somebody alive just a few minutes longer to let the EMS get there and really work on them. Back here we have an AED, so just like you might see at your gym, just, you know, something to help people if they're having a heart attack. I've got a toe strap in here. I've got my rain jacket, which is also that fancy color in case I'm playing out in traffic. I've got my coat in there because we live in Indiana and you never know when it's going to snow or freeze, so I keep that in here all the time. We have an investigation kit, so this is for like evidence retrieval, so if I work a burglary and there are fingerprints, I can get those fingerprints as just being a responding officer and not have to wait for detectives to show up. I can lift those prints and get that information and that evidence, and we also have evidence bags and things like that in here. More unlock equipment for different types of vehicles, and let's see, binoculars in here. What else do we have? Oh, jumper cables, and this here, this little rolly thing, if you can kind of see it. This is one of the most important things that I use. So I carry a lot of stuff in as a DARE officer, a lot of books and things like that into schools, and that is kind of like a little hand cart that folds out. So I can put all my books on there, fold it out, bring it into school with me with only making one trip. That's usually what I look for. Kind of got a little bit of everything in here except your kitchen sink. Unique thing about the vehicle is you see the lights that are up here. The lights are also here. So if I do have this popped open and my lights are on, people can still see me without the hatch kind of covering up the light bar or anything like that. So some different things that have been incorporated into this to make it safe for us. We'll pop open this side to get kind of a better look at the through section there of the back seat. And then we'll show you the front passenger seat. This is actually where we put people who are being arrested.
Okay.
So at Seymour, our policy is we ride the people up front. You notice there is no cage here for people to sit in the back. We're not protected from that. So our theory is we would rather have them set up front. That way if they're going to do something, we can kind of keep an eye on them up here instead of being behind us doing who knows what, trying to get their handcuffs off or whatever they're trying to do. So up front is where anybody that's in handcuffs would ride typically. We can sustain from these vehicles for as long as we need to.
Well, thank you for showing us.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll go first. This is our conference room, which I'll talk more about here in just a moment. And these bathrooms here, just like in most schools, if you go through the bathroom to the back, there's a locker room on either side. So male and female locker room here, and that is for this, which is our workout or weight room. Most of this equipment was purchased about a decade ago with drug money, with recovered asset forfeiture, which is drug money. So we use that to basically have a gym here in-house. We also get 30 minutes a week to work out, paid to work out. So it's kind of a cool perk of the job. A lot of officers come in here on their off time or on their off days and work out for free.
That's awesome.
This is our gated conference room or our training room. And this is a multi-purpose room. So it is set up mostly for training. So if we have people come in to give us training on different aspects of police work, whether it's firearms repair, driving courses, arrest procedures, all kinds of different training goes on up here. But that's what this is, basically just a big classroom. It's also set up to give press releases if we need to. That's why the podium is up here. So if we have a big incident, we may do a press release up here. We have different pieces of technology. So we have a smart board here. This is actually used more than just about anything. It's just a giant computer.
Oh, wow. It's giant.
So it's just a giant touchscreen computer. So we roll this out and we may give a presentation using the giant computer here. If we go back to the back here, this is our temporary storage room for this area. So we have different, we have dummies in here. We have flooring to kind of turn this into a gym. If we're doing like defensive tactics training, we have all kinds of different training simulators and things in these boxes here. So it's just kind of a multi-purpose room for whatever we need it for. We got a famous TV cart like people used to use back in the 80s and 90s in schools. So last thing I'll show you in here is if you look around the walls, you see all the different plugins and outlets and things like that. This room is actually hardwired into our dispatch center as well. So if something were to happen, like a big crisis, a flood, natural disaster, they would have people come up here and kind of command the situation from this room. So this would become an even larger dispatch center up here if need be. This room's kind of boring. It's just our records archive. So we keep records for a long time. So these are case reports that are old. Most of our stuff's digitized now. It's on the computer. These are just old files, old case reports that we have to keep in here because you never know. It could be 10 or 15 years after something happened that they need that case for something. This is where they go for the most part, and they're rotated out to a larger warehouse type facility for long-term record storage after this.
That's great.
All right, this is our detectives area. As you can see, the buzz-in key here. Most officers can't get in here unless they are detectives. So everything in here is secure, even from other police officers, for investigation purposes. So let's come on inside. And this is kind of like a mini squad room. So they have their own kind of kitchenette up here, and then they have their squad room here in the middle, where they work on different cases and things like that, kind of detached from what we do downstairs. That way, they can have more time to look into what's going on and really do some poking around and investigating without the hustle and bustle around them so much. They also have admin offices, so you see the admin offices back here, just like you have downstairs, kind of a mini version of that. And then back this way we have our lab. We have two other investigation rooms back here, so family conference room and a CSVA room, which is kind of like a stress test. So it's lie detector for lack of a better term, but they do that sort of investigation up here as well. So whatever happens up here is completely isolated from the rest of the department. They can handle internal investigations, whether maybe an officer did something wrong or they're really looking into that. They can handle some really big time cases without worrying about too many officers. We have 43 sworn officers, and we trust them all, but you don't know who they're talking to. So we kind of keep that footprint as small as we can when we have big investigations, and that's why this is kind of sealed off from everything else. And we also have interview rooms up here for the investigators to use. So this is our in-house lab, if you want to come in here. You can see there's some evidence there that is tagged. I don't know if that was used in something or maybe a recovered stolen property. But basically what this room is for all that cool CSI stuff that you might see. So crime scene investigation. They can make plaster molds up here. They can lift fingerprints. They have all kinds of interesting dyes that'll show like if blood was on something at some point. And that's what all these cabinets are for. It looks a lot like maybe a science classroom or something in high school. But they can do all that kind of neat stuff up here and kind of get a better idea of what actually happened in the event of a crime or an investigation.
Okay, that's awesome.
And as you see, this is our evidence check-in room. So, these lockers are where we put any evidence that we have. And you saw I could buzz in here as just a normal street officer. I have access to this area. Now I don't have access to this area because only the custodians can go in there, the custodians of evidence. So there's only 2 people here in the department that have access to that. And that's for legality purposes because we put in these lockers here, they're all different sizes, obviously some tall, smaller than the others. Some of these are locked. But we can basically fit almost any size evidence in these lockers. Now the cool thing is, I'll show you guys how this works, and we'll get the evidence custodian mad at me real quick. So these just open and close like normal, like a school locker. If I have evidence, let's say it's drugs or something, I package it up, I put on there what it is, and it's for an investigation, I put it in locker 25, put my evidence in there. Those drugs have to be monitored from the time we get them to the time they're put in this box here. And this is considered a safe storage location. So at that point, we say it's turned into evidence. So these lockers, once we put it in here to make sure it's safe and secure, as you can see, I can open it up. But if I turn the handle and then press this rod here, it's locked. And I can't open it back up.
Okay.
So it is now secured in there, and the only person that can open it are the people that have access to this evidence room. So that's why there's only 2 people allowed to be in there at any time, because they are now responsible for that evidence. Back behind here is a gigantic storage room that has all kinds of evidence that anything you might think about. I mean, car tires, vehicle parts, stolen property, chainsaws, weapons, all kinds of stuff is back in here. This back here is our evidence refrigerator. There's nothing in here now. It looks like they just took it all out and sent it down to the lab. But if we do like a blood draw or a DNA sample, which is actually saliva, we put that in these biohazard refrigerators, and then they have to be cleared out about once a week and taken to Indianapolis to the crime lab there to be investigated further.
Neat.
This room here is part of our armory. So back behind these doors here, these are locked doors, and we have additional weapons and things like that. In case somebody's weapon breaks on duty, they can come up here and switch it out. This is just a cleaning station or a repair station for firearms. So we need to clean our guns or our weapons, we bring them up here, and we can do that here on the station.
That's great.
Is the entire police station. So you guys might notice there is no basement in the police station. So that is the one thing we don't have. It's just built on a flat slab. So no basement here, but we utilize pretty much everything else. No basement, no attic.
All right.
2 great big floors.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.